All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our member spotlight here. We have Carter Pederson, who's going to be our member that we are highlighting this week. So, Carter, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Rabbi?
Good, good. Can't complain. Long weekend, so that's always kind of nice. And as you and I were saying before we hit the record button, it's crazy that September is already here.
Yes.
Although it is my birthday month, so I'm always a little bit excited when September comes around. So why don't you just tell some people who might not have had the privilege to get to know you or talk to you at services or in the school before, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, um, I guess my standard piece is I graduated from the U a couple of years ago. I got a political science degree. Did a little bit of stuff with that. I'm back in school now. That's my main gig. So I'm actually doing my prerequisites for an associate's degree in dental hygiene at Normandale. Big shift. Um, but I like it a lot so far. It's been really interesting to go into the other side of academics, like STEM and stuff like that. Um, Otherwise, I'm a teacher in our school, of course, and that's something that this is now my third year of doing that. Um, yeah.
Great, yeah. So, and I know you'd be a more recent member. You joined how long ago to Temple of Aaron?
Oh, I think I officially became a member, I want to say about a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right, I think, if I remember everything. And then, so, we've done a lot of fun things. We try and do a lot of fun and innovative things at Temple of Aaron. So I'm curious what in the year and a half, or I mean, you've been associated with the synagogue for longer than that. What's sort of like your fondest memory, favorite service, favorite event, favorite thing that we sort of done, or favorite experience you've had since being a member at Temple of
Oh man. Um,
Aaron? Or you can pick two if it's too tough to
yeah.
narrow it down.
um, I've really enjoyed working on some of our holiday programming, especially some of the Hanukkah stuff that we did and the Purim stuff as well. I always like staffing those events and seeing the kids have so much fun and getting to see all the families. That's something that I always consistently enjoy. And that's, overall why I love teaching. Um, I also was just thinking recently about, it's probably close to a year ago now. I remember going to Minion on Sukkot, and I don't know why that sticks out in my head, but I particularly enjoyed that. Shaking the lulav and just being able to socialize and not being at work on a weekday. So,
Nice. Yeah, there's something special. Not everyone's able to have that opportunity to go to um, holiday services during the week, and there is
right.
something sort of special about it when you really realize it. I grew up going to Jewish day school, and so it was always just sort of a day off sort of thing that I used to look at. But then as I got older and I sort of realized what it was, really when I hit high school is when I sort of gained a new appreciation for it instead of it just being a day off, but actually,
Yeah,
I don't know, a special sort of service or something about it that is a little bit unique. And
totally.
that is great. Yeah, it's Sukkot, a year ago. It's crazy. It's only about a month away.
Yeah,
And then, of course, the pandemic has clearly changed life in so many ways. And I think once we first went down into, it's crazy that now, for us in Minnesota, really we're coming up on 6 months like this week of being shut down in
hmm
some capacity. And when we all shut down, like, yeah, we anticipated missing seeing one another, but I'm curious if there's something random that you didn't anticipate missing during this pandemic. The thing that I often say to people is you never realize how much you would miss being able to see someone's mouth and like a smile, like in passing with them, right? Like something that we took so for granted that now it's like, oh man, wouldn't it be nice if I could see someone? Someone didn't even recognize me the other day because I had my mask on. I had mask on and sunglasses and a hat. And they had no idea that it was me. And when I said
right.
hello, and so just that basic thing is something I miss. I'm curious something that you might miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think mine is actually similar to that. It's this interesting kind of duality. On one hand, we're doing all this Zoom stuff now, right? and the convenience is absolutely unparalleled. It's crazy. You just hop on and, you can see everybody. But, when I went last week to the actual synagogue to go record stuff, for Rosh Hashanah, to record my Torah reading, even just, getting to see Cantor Feinblum and Rabbi Fine and, a couple other people in person, even though, I've seen them over Zoom, seeing them in the flesh was a very different experience. And I was really glad to have that. It's like, there's something that it's difficult to put into words, that you just don't have that even when you talk to people over the internet.
Yeah, it is fascinating, that idea of just having face-to-face actual interaction, even though like right now you and I are way more face-to-face than a lot of people can be. And
Right.
with Zoom, you're right. And it's that idea of convenience factor, which we are always sort of focused on. That's why
Hmm.
Netflix and Hulu are so successful. It's because they're a click away. I mean, before I hopped on, I was watching Black Panther on Disney Plus, and it just took 2 clicks, and I was there. But like that idea of being able to sort of interact with someone via face-to-face interaction is something that's missing. And I took for granted the fact you and I first met over coffee at
Yeah.
Quixotic, right? And
Yeah.
that sort of interaction I miss, right? Who would have thought just
Yes.
sitting at a coffee house is something that you would miss so much? And so
Absolutely.
we sort of I alluded to the Netflix and Hulu and how popular they are doing right now, and Disney Plus, of course. But so I've binge watched a lot of different shows, some new shows, some old shows, some movies that I never would have thought I would watch, or documentaries. I have to admit, in about April, I committed to watching Tiger King, and I watched that. Um, so I'm curious for you if you have any Netflix or Hulu shows or anything like that that you've binge watched as of late, or movies that you would recommend, or maybe what's the weirdest thing that you've sort of gotten into?
Um, I've seen so many Netflix shows. I back in March, me and my girlfriend watched Love Is Blind.
Hmm.
Um, we watched, I think it's on Amazon, The Great, which it's a humorous version of kind of the life of Catherine the Great. Um, we just finished last night. We finished watching Indian Matchmaking,
Hmm.
which was really good. And then this has got to be my top one. I saw a very strange old movie the other night that's from like 1955 called The Phoenix City Story.
Hmm.
And it's based on a true story. It was this town in Alabama on the border with Georgia that was basically rife with corruption. Um, and a local attorney who was also a state senator was like, if I show this to the rest of the state, then it'll go away. Um, and he gets the nomination for attorney general, which, Alabama, 1955, Democratic nomination, seals the deal. Um, and then the mob takes him out. And his son had just come back from Korea. And
Hmm.
so he takes up the nomination for attorney general, runs, wins, and then successfully prosecutes these mob guys who murdered his father.
Oh
It's
wow.
based on a true story.
Wow. That's fascinating. Yeah, I
Yeah.
find those sort of stories I find very interesting, and I like those types of movies also. And like I'm trying to think about anything that's like also, as you said, sort of like older movies. I haven't really
Yeah.
watched any older movies as of late, but I need to. I need to get back into them. But yeah, I mean, so easy to get into like different shows. April and I
Yeah.
watch a lot of real estate shows
Oh,
in like
yeah.
LA and stuff like that because we obviously live there.
Right.
So we're like, oh, look at that place that we never were able to go to because it's ridiculously and exorbitantly priced area. But it's just sort of fun to see it. Um,
Absolutely.
and one other thing I think people are doing, at the beginning of this, the number of people I saw make sourdough was astronomical. And so people decide to lean into new skills or new hobbies. And I'm curious if there's anything you've picked up or maybe something that you used to do that you hadn't, touched in like 10 years. And you're like, you know what? Quarantine or, semi shut down life is a time to sort of pick that up. So I'm curious if there's any new hobby or skill that you've really been leaning into or focusing on.
You know, I'm sure I'm not the only person to have done this, but I've gotten very much into walking.
Oh, nice.
Um, I haven't been doing it quite as much as I did throughout most of the summer, but I had a point in time where I was walking 10 miles every day.
Wow.
Um, and I had some other days where it's like, let's just see what happens. And so I would walk like 20 miles,
That's
which is
awesome.
like 40,000 steps. It's absurd. So I would say like walking and listening to podcasts basically has been how I have kept it together on my end.
That's awesome. Yeah, walking. Funny thing you mentioned that. So my friends and I, one summer, obviously this was not quarantine. We were at services actually one day. My
Mhm.
dad, I remember my dad was in the middle of his sermon. I'm sitting with two of my friends. We're in high school, um, and we're talking. And then it was over the summer. And then all of a sudden, my friend's like, you know what? I wonder if we could walk to the St. Louis Arch from my house. And we were just, and he lived in the suburbs, and we're like, you know what? That'd be interesting. So like literally that day after Shabbos lunch, I went to his house, and then we walked from his house to the St. Louis Arch. It was a ridiculous number of steps and all this other stuff. And we're just like, what possessed us? And we did it for 3 years.
Right.
3 years in a row, we decided to randomly walk to the St. Louis Arch. So I entirely understand like the
Yes.
random fascination with deciding to be like, you know what, let me actually walk. And you don't really realize how far you can get when you think about it, right? And you're like, yeah, that's definitely something that April and I have been talking about, especially because we live
Yeah.
right near Minnehaha Falls, and like
Right.
we're like we need to walk, and I'm sure our dog would like that too. If you ever want a dog to walk around with you, you can come over and steal Minnie for a little bit. But yeah, so great, Carter. So thank you so much for being part of the member spotlight, letting people in a little bit and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
Really do appreciate it, and everyone should be making sure that they tune into Rosh Hashanah services so that way they can actually listen to Carter read some Torah for us. And I hope that this is a great year for you as we head into the new year, and also a great year of teaching, even though I know it's in a slightly different format than we are
Right.
used to. So, Carter, thank you so much for being on the member spotlight this week.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching.